State of Florida. Griffith, 30, is a well-known car thief who was already on probation for similar charges when he chose to go to jail for his crimes. A whole new level. Griffith is accused of breaking into Miami Edison Senior High School and stealing a Volkswagen Passat from the parking lot. But the real drama started when Griffith went to his bond hearing in front of Judge Catherine Pooler. He began talking over the judge, so his mic was turned off, and he started acting up to get the judge's attention. He was clearly high on cocaine and wanted attention. He yelled, "My mom's here," as he was being led away into the courtroom, and if that wasn't enough, he twerked when his microphone was turned off, because he thought that would get everyone's attention. Judge Pooler was not amused at all, even though the crowd was laughing softly. Griffith's family says he has a mental illness and wasn't taking his meds at the time of his courtroom escape. In fact, his mother came to court with a bag of RX drugs in hand. Your mom is here with a bag full of what looks like his medicine. Griffith was charged with burglary, petty theft, grand theft, and trespassing in a school safety zone. This wasn't his first time in court. He was already on probation for similar offenses. Judge Pooler quickly set Griffith free on bond and told him to stay away from Miami Edison Senior High. It's clear that twerking in court doesn't get you anywhere. Favors Griffith is a dancer, but not all prisoners dance in court. Not Darrell Brooks. His name is Darrell Edward Brooks, Jr. Now I'm at work, and I heard that 40-year-old Darrell Brooks is in court for driving his SUV into a crowd at a Christmas parade in November 2021. He is facing multiple charges, including murder. Brooks crashed his car into 6 innocent parade-goers, killing them all, including an 8-year-old and dozens of others hurt, as if his actions weren't already very bad. Brooks's behavior in court during the trial was completely out of control. He was rude and disruptive, frequently interrupting Judge Jennifer Darrow to make ridiculous arguments. If it weren't for his behavior, you wouldn't have to sit here and be insulted. They're not insulting anyone. They're just responding. Darrow sometimes put Brooks in a separate room and mute him while letting him participate through a monitor. Unless it was his designated speaking time, Brooks was not allowed to speak. Mr. Brooks was removed from the courtroom because he kept interrupting and upsetting the court. He took off his shirt and was threatening to throw and break things. This was the measure that was used. When Brooks ignored the judge's authority and spoke out of turn, I just said, "No matter how many times I have to say it on the record, sir, I don't hear what you say because you interrupt me so much or answer quietly, and I'm taking notes and focusing on probably a dozen things at the same time. It has to be insulting that you're using this strategy again because it's not a strategy. It's quick to another point. You have 2 pictures that you think were from this witness that I know he's not from, that you think I knew about during the sentencing." Judge Darrow put it all on the line by telling Brooks he showed no remorse or empathy for his horrible actions, and she wasn't going to let him off the hook easily. She made it clear that no one is safe from his destructive tendencies. In this court, Mr. Brooks has caused chaos and violence, leaving many people with PTSD and mental and emotional scars that will take a lifetime to heal from. For some, this may be the only way to feel safe again. Mr. Brooks, this community will only be safe if you spend the rest of your life in prison. Life. Brooks spoke to the court and went on for more than 2 hours, wondering why this tragedy happened and how life had gone so far from what it should be. He said he wasn't angry and promised not to hit anyone, but he did. He slammed the district attorney and wouldn't respect how she did her job. How did life get so far from what it should be? How it should be, I know who I am. God knows who I am. I had to look inside myself to figure out why the comments were made. Brooks's family tried to fight about his mental health, but the judge quickly shut them down. She said that Brooks' mental health wasn't an excuse for what he did, and she made it clear that he knew the difference between right and wrong. He was evil at heart. After a tense hearing, Brooks was found guilty on all 76 counts connected to the attack, including 6 counts of first-degree deliberate murder. Judge Jennifer Darrow gave him 6 life terms in a row. It was also given an extra 17.5 years for each of the 61 counts of first-degree, carelessly risking safety with a dangerous weapon. No matter how bad you think Brooks's case was, it's not even close to the shocking story of Stacey Angelou. This is 25-year-old of Stacey Angelou, a member of the Tongan gang who is one of 17 people charged with racketeering in Salt Lake City, Utah. Angelo was charged with conspiracy, assault, robbery, weapons offenses, and a string of robberies and attacks on store clerks. Angelo, a gang member who stands 6 feet 3 and weighs about 260 pounds, Angelo was the last suspect in the case to go to trial. He was charged with attacking 2 federal agents and threatening them with a gun. Today, he is in a Salt Lake City federal courthouse and feels especially brave despite his many crimes. Angelo's actions in court were even more shocking than his other crimes. As the trial got hot, things took a turn for the worse when a brave prisoner testified about the gang's inner workings. When Angelo chose to take a risk, he saw a pen on the wall. Rose quickly got up and grabbed an attorney's pen. Before anyone could do anything, Angelo charged the witness stand. Angelo jumped over the stand like John Wick and tried to stab the witness who was speaking against him. "Thank you. Take it out of your mind." Luckily, a U.S. Marshal stepped in before anyone in Salt Lake City could fully understand what was going on. John Wick was shot several times, got at least 1 chest wound, and was rushed to the hospital. You must be crazy to do something like that in a courtroom with a U.S. Marshal present. Luckily, no one else was hurt, and the person who was supposed to be attacked with a pen almost got away. Sadly, Aniwalu later died from his injuries. The sad event led to a mistrial, and the judge agreed that the show had clearly shocked and upset the jury. There was some disagreement about whether the police used enough force, with the defendant's family saying it was too much. It was wrong and unfair what happened here on April 21st, and the force they used was too much and cruel. We'll start by speaking out and working together with all nations. However, the U.S. Marshal who shot Angelo was found not guilty of any wrongdoing. The court said that the use of force was reasonable given the circumstances of her sudden attack. However, Angelo's family still says that racism was at the root of the shooting. They said that the marshal should have tried less lethal options like tasers and an internal investigation. The marshal wasn't charged with any crimes after an investigation. Angelo's actions may have been motivated by his loyalty to his gang, but some prisoners act on their own, like Ronnie O'Neal, who is currently being charged with multiple killings in Tampa, Florida. A harsh punishment was given to Ronnie O'Neal for killing his girlfriend Kenyatta Barron and their 9-year-old daughter Ronavia. He also stabbed his 8-year-old boy Ronnie and set their bodies on fire. Setting the house on fire to hide his crimes, luckily, his son lived and got away from the March 2018 fire. In the back road, Kenyatta called 911 to report Ronnie's behavior. The call stopped suddenly, and soon after Ronnie called and said that he had killed Kenyatta because white demons inside her were trying to kill him, even though his crimes were shocking. What O'Neal did in court was even more upsetting. It was a shocking show of being cocky in court, O'Neal defended himself. He yelled at the jury and blamed the victims for his horrible actions. "But I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to." Judge Michelle Cisco scolded him for being rude and told him not to lose his temper again without feeling bad about it. When O'Neal said he was sorry for what he did, the judge scolded him again. "I am not sorry," he said. "I'm sorry for things I didn't do and will not apologize for things I did do." However, he did express sympathy for the victims' families' loss while attacking the legal system. "I will say I'm sorry for your loss." On the other hand, O'Neal questioned his son, whom he almost killed and who bravely testified against him during Judge Cisco, moved by the evidence, described the worst case she had ever seen in 18 years of handling cases involving people killed by others. The jury suggested a term of life in prison, without the chance of release, but Judge Cisco agreed with the jury. Ronnie O'Neal was given 3 consecutive life terms without the possibility of release for murder, 30 years for setting fires, and 30 years for each count of severe child abuse, totaling 90 years in jail. The death sentence was the ruling in CF 4019 Division Trial Division 1. If the choice for death isn't clear, the trial court will give the person a life term without the chance of release. O'Neal asked for a new trial, but the court turned it down. He claimed his actions were caused by white devils, but some prisoners are to blame because they are high. Nicholson, charged with carrying a harmful weapon, having a banned weapon, and knowingly hurting a police officer in Adelaide, Australia, was charged with carrying a harmful weapon, having a banned weapon, and knowingly hurting a police officer. He lost his bail when his bail was taken away due to being high on drugs. Nicholson's daring escape didn't go as planned, and he was taken back to his cell and charged with escaping custody and recklessly hurting the police officers. Judge Liesl Chapman deemed Nicholson's outburst unacceptable and decided that jail time was the only fair punishment. He was given a jail term of 1 year, 9 months, and 18 days, with no chance of release.